Hi everyone, Curtis here from Goth Rider Creations, and in today's episode we're going to be starting on the neck for the Eco Paper guitar. Stay tuned. So, first of all, a little bit of housekeeping. Oh, and if you're not interested in the parts of the channel and you just want to get to the build, please go to this time code and you can skip me waffling. Everyone that stayed behind, love you. So yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for all the comments. I didn't expect the levels of support or people enjoying the idea of the build as much as they have. People going crazy saying it's like Damascus paper and stuff like that. I never even considered that, but looking at it, yeah, so I'm really glad people actually enjoy the idea of this. They like what they see so far, so that's really cool. So thank you for that. Also, as you can see, finally back in the workshop, thanks to being employed again. Finally, I can actually afford an infrared heater, which is currently cooking my knees, which is absolutely brilliant. It's going to take a little bit of a while for the camera to acclimatise, so if it's a little bit hazy on the edges, apologies. But yeah, so finally back, finally able to get on with some bits and pieces. Now, there is going to be a slight change in plans for what I'd hoped to get done this year. The theory was that I was going to try and push to get the paper guitar ready for the Jurgs Cup end of March, beginning of April. That's not going to happen now, unfortunately. I don't think he would mind it being a little bit late. He was a good guy. But yeah, the other plan was to get started on the giveaway build, and I'm going to have to push that back a few months. I really need to get this workshop sorted out. It's too small. I'm really cramped in here, and I was watching a live stream with my friend Jackson recently, and he was saying how sick he was of making templates and jigs. He just wanted to build guitars. Now, I need to go the complete opposite. I need jigs. I need means of making these guitars. I'm kind of cavemaning it at the moment with a jigsaw and a sander and a drill. I need to start getting a bit better at this. The more I can organise myself, the better I'm going to get at these things, and the quicker I can get building these things. So the plan is going to be I'm still going to be doing some guitar stuff in the meantime, but I'm going to start slowing it down, maybe an episode a month, episode every 6 weeks, as I'm currently doing at the moment, and then I'm going to focus on building the extension to this shed. I will film it all for anyone that is interested, but I've got to lay a whole new concrete slab. I'm actually building this extension from scratch, from recycled timber, so it's going to be a project. Last summer was just far too wet, couldn't get anything done, so I'm going to push this year. Any dry weekends, any dry evenings, I'm going to be out there doing that, less doing this. So apologies, things are going to slow down a little bit. There's going to be more long distance episodes, not just an episode every week or two, but once the extension's built and I can actually build all of the jigs and all of the tools that I need, then I can start working on some cooler projects. So please bear with me, it's a process I have to go through. And finally, I want to shout out to my good friend Shell Shock. I've always said from the beginning of this channel that I just want to inspire people and show people that you don't need to be a master luthier, you don't need thousands of pounds of tools to build guitars. And my friend Shell Shock, I've known him for a long time. He's a biker mate of mine. He recently, about a month or so ago, sent me a photo, and underneath it just said, "This is all your fault." And it was a kit guitar that he'd built. He's been a subscriber to my channel since day one. He's always supporting me through everything I'm doing. And yeah, he bit the bullet under my inspiration, apparently, and built himself. And within like 4 days of it arriving, he sprayed and built himself his one-off guitar. And since then, he's bought 2 more kits, and he's built a cigar box guitar. The guy is losing it. It's absolutely brilliant. So I wanted to do a little shout out, because that is the first person that I can say I have inspired to go and build a guitar. So that makes me really proud. So good on you, Shell Shock. Right, let's get on with talking about the build. So first of all, as you saw last week, I got the body basically put together. I will put a little overview here of the footage from me sorting out the resin. It was literally just a case of making a really basic mould, a flat sheet, a bit of tape as mould release, and then just making some dams out of hardboard, which I thought was melamine lined, but it turns out it's really not. And then I just poured, I think, 3, maybe 4 layers of resin in there, filling up all of the holes, filling up all the outside cracks, making sure it is as stable as possible. And then I literally left it a week and then smashed it out of the mould. So that's all ready to go now. All I need to do is just sort out the template and then get that cut down to final size. What I'm going to be doing today is working on the neck. Now, with the whole recycled materials theme, I didn't want to just go pine like I've done with most of my other stuff lately. I didn't want to reuse a neck. I want to make sure this is completely custom. So what I've done is gotten hold of this. Now, from the outside, it's just a big old slab of oak. But on the end profile, I don't know if you can see, this is what's called engineering oak, engineered timber. So what it is loads of little pieces, strips of oak with different grain patterns in different orientations to make it as strong as possible. This is pretty much what you will find in most modern buildings whenever you're building custom staircases or custom trim pieces for cabinets or things like that. And the idea is to orientate all of those little bits of grain. One, I guess, to reuse small bits of timber, but 2, because you've orientated the grain in certain ways, you can make that structurally a lot more sound than just a normal piece of timber to the same grade. So that's what we're going to be using. As you can see, it is a little bit small for a neck, but it's perfect for what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is make the template for the neck, and then I can get this marked out and we can get it cut out. So there we have it, and for anyone that knows their guitars, we are going headless on this one, so something slightly different. So that's the basic shape all cut out. We also have the truss rod in there, so that's all sorted. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the fretboard. The way I see it, I might as well get the fretboard on, radius to probably the frets cut, and then glue that on, and then use the template, and then route the whole thing as one. It might be a bad idea, who knows, but I'm going to give it a go. So that's the next part. Now, anyone who has been watching my side series on how to build your own resin fretboards, and if you haven't watched it, I will link it at the end of this video, please go and have a look. But as no surprise, I'll be using one of the boards I have left over from that. So this is basically little pieces of denim scraps that I infused with resin in a cheap throwaway mold. So yeah, basically this, it needs obviously a lot of sanding because it's matte as hell, but there's also quite a few air gaps and pinholes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this off first, get it flat, then fill in with some extra resin just to get it all one piece, and then we'll get it glued on, get it radiused, and get the fret slots cut. So there we have it. That is one denim fretboard, sanded down, levelled and glued onto the neck. We've got plenty of squeeze out. As you can see, I used my trusty clear non-foaming Gorilla. I'm not sure about using Type Bond on the resin. One day I'll do a test, but for now I wanted to do resin on resin, so that's kind of the best go-between really. So that's all sorted, that's now drying. I did want to try and cut the fret slots first, but I kind of made a bit of a boo-boo. I didn't want to do the screw up that I did with the Impossible guitar by just measuring and randomly cutting. I screwed up that fretboard, I screwed up that fret job, so I wasn't going to do that this time. So what I did, and I've seen a few people do this, including Lars Grape, legendary. If you're not watching him, the guitars that guy makes out of a garage is just amazing. So I took his advice and I printed out one of those templates that you can get on, I can't even remember what website it is. You just put in how many frets you want, what the scale length is, and then it prints the exact scale, and you just glue it on, cut your slots. Yeah, I thought that this was a 25.5-inch scale, and it's nowhere near. So I'm glad I noticed that before I glued it down and started cutting, but I'm going to have to put a new one on, and I didn't want to have to wait yet another week, because this whole process is probably, well, from the start of this episode to the end, it's probably been about 3 or 4 weeks. So I wanted to get something out for you guys, so that ended that as an option. The other thing that I was kind of hoping to do was maybe route around first to get the preliminary shape, but I don't have a router table. Now, I do have the bits to make a router table, including the plate and the riser mechanism. The problem is, this arrived about an hour ago. This arrived in January. Thank you so much, Chinese Post. So, yeah, so as I only have the constituent parts to build a router table, it's not quite finished yet to be able to do this. So, yeah, on the next episode, I'll show you how to build a router table. And then in the episode after that, I'll show you how to route with a homemade router table. But yeah, unfortunately, that's all we've got for this time. So it's a little bit short on content, I'm afraid, but we are getting there with the basics. So once this is dry in a couple of days' time, I can get that built, I can get this routed, I can start routing the perimeter of the body. We can get closer to an actual guitar rather than just parts. So yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me as always. Please throw us a comment, let us know what you think. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Nearly hit that 300 mark, so it'd be really nice to get over that. And yeah, as always, I shall see you all in the next one. Take care.